Glad you're all at the band camp now. F MySpace, right? Good. Glad you're doing that. Yes, Stan.
Great shows you can hear this weekend, but this Thursday, none of them shows are on, so it's okay. Go to G-Love. Oh. If you don't want to go to that, which you should, go to G-Love and the Special Sauce at the House of Blues. Go to it.
Cool. Thanks, Stan. Corey?
If you want to dance on Thursday, come to the Republic. It's legit Thursdays. This week's theme is Miami Vice and Twitter stars. We're going to have a live feed of Twitter. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get dressed up.
Did you say there was a fashion show? I wasn't asked to be in it. What's up with that? Will? I know, that's very funny. Will? Will? Thank you very much for that chronic. Yes.
I play with a band called The White Bitch, and this Saturday...
Two best band names in the program. The Local Skank and The White Bitch. Thank you.
So this Saturday we'll be playing at the Michelopolis Party, which if you haven't been yet, it's hosted at the Old New Orleans Drug Factory down on Elysian Fields. And it is a giant-ass costume party, and you should go because it is one of the best parties of the year.
Yeah. Carter.
This Sunday, come to Cafe Britannia to celebrate the Super Bowl with the birth of a new Loyola band.
All right. Birth of a new Loyola band. Is there a name? No name? Maybe people can decide at Britannia. Zach.
I'm Griffin. I know we got a ton of guitar and bass players here. I do wiring for guitars. I'm going to be finishing at setups. So if you're sick of your guitar sound, you want to change things up or change the color, don't spend a shit ton of money buying your guitar. Let me know. We can make it look cool.
Wow. Very handy. How do we find you?
Just email me at thekillertree@gmail.
The Killer Tree. You guys, some ex-programmers who have an opportunity here for anybody who wants to intern.
Hi, everyone. I think between he and I, most of you. We run a label called Community Records. It's punk rock, ska. It's based here in New Orleans, and we have bands from all around the country. We've come here to look for an intern for this spring semester for a few reasons. We're releasing 4 records, 2 of which are for local bands. One is Caddy Wampus, and the other one is a split between Matty Lucas and our band, Brad and Albert. And we're also releasing a record for a band from Texas and a band from California. And beyond that, we are doing our 3rd annual block party event, which would also we also need help for. So that's part of the internship. And if you just don't need an internship but want to help out, you can help us with anything, but especially the block party. It's going to be April 17th. Like 2 stages, all-day event, 20 bands, at the big top down in St. Charles by the overpass. And if you just want to come and jam for free and help us with food, cleanup, stage management, anything, just contact us. So we need about 10 to 15 volunteers. We have flyers. Also, I'm going to pour out my coffee shop. I own a coffee shop on Magazine Street. I have free coffees. If anyone wants to come and pick up one of those, come talk to me. It's called the Hey Cafe. We also sell vinyl and CDs and books as well.
Right on.
Thanks
Cool.
for your time.
All right. So that you guys can get flyers for like after forum? Up at the door after forum. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Yes. Thank you. Okay, that's a non-announcement. That's a not event. All right, great. All right. So tonight, I think we're talking to G-Eazy and Matty B about some of what's going on in their world since they've got a lot going on, and they've been doing a lot of stuff for a long time. So why don't you guys come up and we'll talk. Welcome, G-Eazy and Matty B. Does it matter? Yeah. Okay.
Center of attention.
Yeah. All right. So
These chairs are comfy.
I know that you guys are all familiar with these two gentlemen. Most of you are. But for those who might not be, or for the viewing audience, why don't you tell us who you are, Matty? Why don't you can take the lead on that. Just explain, kind of who you are, what you've been doing, what got you to this point, and where you are right now.
I'm a senior here at Loyola. My name's Matt Bauerschmidt, and I guess my Twitter name has taken over my name now. Met this guy about 2 years ago. He was about to shoot a video with Tyler Yee, and I just got involved and wanted to make it more kind of planned out, and booked Republic to shoot it at night and for the release of it later. And so we just kind of started working there about 2 years ago.
Right. And G?
Well, my name's G. I'm a junior here, and I've been doing music since high school. But until I met him, it didn't really have like a organized direction, so to speak. It was just me kind of aimlessly recording music in my room, and just putting it out, building up a following online. I don't know. I've always just been the kind of person that just like I have to do stuff. Like I kind of go crazy if I feel like I'm not being productive. So when I got down to Loyola, I set up my studio in my dorm room, and I started working with other musicians on campus and stuff like that. And one of the persons I met was this kid Tyler, who had a camera, and he was in the video and stuff. And we just we wanted to shoot a music video. We didn't really know what we were doing. We just and he came in and kind of helped organize it or whatever.
Great.
And since then we've just been kind of moving with the momentum and trying to.
Right. So you guys are putting together a plan kind of as you go based on a lot of the stuff that you're learning in the program, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You're basically applying theory all the time.
Yeah, and you also have to balance it too, because certain things apply to certain genres differently. So
What do you mean when you say that?
one thing that we really noticed with the program is that it's really indie-centric and tries to really push the indie lifestyle to our way of doing things in terms of music industry. And we definitely are, we have like kind of like a split personality in terms of our career path. And so we know a major label is a really distinct possibility, and so we're gearing up certain things towards that. But on the same side, we want to be sustainable as an indie artist and have a career.
So as many of you may know, some majors have been sniffing around Gerald, and he's done showcases for 3 label presidents over the last year or so, right? Yeah. 6 months or so. And but that what I like about their plan is that that's not all they have going for them. They haven't put all their eggs in that basket. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've been building up this momentum, and this is the idea. You put out music, you gain a following, you catch the attention of a big fish. That big fish brings your music to a bigger fish, who brings it to a bigger fish. That's the idea. That's how this industry works. But it's never been like we're out on a mission to go get a major label. You know what I mean? If they come knocking, it's kind of like, we'll see what they're talking about. But so yeah, I've had a couple meetings with them. But basically, every time I've met with a major label, I've made it really clear that I'm doing this with or without you guys. Like I have a destination, to where I'm working towards, and I'm in a program that's helping me, learn about that.
Right.
But that I'm not sitting here waiting for that to be the benchmark of success or the the train to take me to where I'm going.
Right.
So with or without them, we're doing it. It's just like, a major label can come in and they add some extra gas to your car. I feel like sometimes we're on the side of the road pushing our car, to where we want to go, and we'll get there.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like it'd be kind of nice with that cushion that a major label provides. But
Well, so you're aiming for sustainability first, right?
Right.
First and foremost, you want to be able to keep doing this music, whether or not you get backing.
that's
Right?
the idea.
Major backing. So, Matty, what are you doing to develop an audience? I mean, you guys We all talk about this all the time. You know, you create awareness, you make those connections, you monetize those connections, right? We talk about that all the time. One way or another, we're talking about that basic process. What are you guys doing to sort of create a situation where you can bring about sustainability?
I guess just to use some of G. Howard's buzzwords and whatnot, we create a social object and then just try to make it free and shareable, but also to where we can get something off it. So like Bandcamp is really cool because we get a lot of emails off of there.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten over 1,000 off of Bandcamp itself.
That's great.
And so, you know, just doing that and then putting a video out and being able to embed it on different sites. And
So you speak about a social object or a shareable object. Just to bring everybody up to speed, what do you consider a social object?
Could be
or
a
shareable
T-shirt, mixtape, CD, just even almost a photo online, you know, if it's really that distinct. And you could even just tag people on Facebook to make them see it. And just things that can be shared and viewed by multiple people.
Bandcamp widgets,
Yeah.
you know, players, things like that, right?
So what you want to do is you want to put everything out and make it as readily available to everybody as possible.
Right.
You still want to plan releases. You want to, you know, because at the end of the day, you can put it out there for the people, but it's not going to catch on, and people aren't going to talk about it if it's not, you know, if it's not quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you're going to do a project, if you're going to do a mixtape or an album or whatever, you put it out there. You let the people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's and then to hopefully bring them to your show. You know what I mean? If you build up a following online by, you know, putting out music videos and music that people can talk about, you hope to start, you know, word of mouth and, you know, get the ball rolling.
What about interaction? Do you guys interact online with your audience?
Yeah, we do streams. When we do tours, we always, you know, document the stuff. We have like flip cams that we just, you know, that we pull out and get behind the scenes stuff. Blogs, absolutely.
Yeah.
Twitter is real important. Twitter is almost as personal as it gets because it's not like, you know, a mixtape is something that you work on and you fine tune and you know, you present a final product. But Twitter's like, you know, directly communicating with people in a really informal way.
Right.
Well,
I can say from my personal experience, Twitter is kind of an uphill battle with a lot of people in this program. Why is it useful? What do you get out of it? What's good? What makes it work?
Communicating with people. Like, I don't know, I could just be like, you know, cool stuff that I guess, I'll be in the studio and I'll just be like, you know, I'm working on a song and I'll post like a link to a rough cut of it.
Yep.
Or,
when we were in Boston, you were like, oh, Currency, they're playing your mixtape at the store. He's like, oh, cool, man. You know,
right.
You have access to people, and then you can also do the straddle, do the online world.
Yeah, we're going to do something at this place at this time. Come down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like when we stream our concerts, I'll be on Twitter saying, you know, we're streaming in 5 minutes. Concert starts. You know,
right.
Tune in at.
And you see results from that activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ustream has a tweet this button. So like on the iPhone or Droid, you can be streaming the show and then just tweet this. And usually that's just when it's like viewers, boom, you know, start popping up.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so you see that very tangible result. You tweet something, and then viewers start to appear.
Or the San Francisco show with just tweeting about a show coming up.
Yeah, we did one show this last summer that literally like the only promotion was all through Twitter. We said, you know, we put up like 10 free tickets, and I just did a Twitter post. Like the first people to get on there, and then like literally like a minute later they were all gone, and then you know, we sold them just through Twitter though. But the point is, it's like when it was MySpace, that was it. That was where the people were. You know, and then Facebook. Now it's like Facebook and Twitter. But the thing is, you want to catch people where they are. Like social networking sites, it's almost like an online hangout place, like where people are. Like, you want to catch people where they spend time. And if that's where people are, if they're hitting that refresh button, looking at their Twitter, and they're not on MySpace reading bulletins, you know, you just want to reach people.
Yeah. And you have to give them what they're looking for. I mean, you're trying to give people what they want. So, you know, you can't restrict their activities too much. You can't, you can't tamp down their reactions. You can't just post favorable comments. You know,
right, you have to make it downloadable on Last.fm and on MySpace and on Facebook if possible. You know, everything possible, because you're gonna be like, oh, well, it's on my Bandcamp. Well, 90% of your audience doesn't know that.
Right.
You know, so it has to be wherever they are.
Right. So yeah, you're not going to train them. You're going to want to just offer them choices, right?
Yeah.
So you got the label stuff that's kind of cooking, we talk about that as like a lottery ticket, right? You have a lottery ticket, you're holding this lottery ticket. Maybe it'll work very well for you. Maybe there's 100 of those. Maybe your odds are 1 in 100 or 1 in 10 million. You don't know.
Yeah, the big thing is not to get too excited about stuff like that.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, I've been flown out for a meeting, but they fly out artists all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just until you have the deal that you're really working towards on the table. I mean, it means jack. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So you don't. I don't know. You don't get a big head and you don't get all excited over stuff like that. Because, like you said, it's just a lottery ticket, and it's like there's no guarantee with any of that.
Well, I think also, you're hoping that if there is a major label that gets involved, that it's going to serve your ends ultimately.
Right.
So if you guys have your network and your fan base really solidified, and the major label helps you to cast a wider net, then hopefully what that means is that when that major label thing ends, and it will someday.
Absolutely.
Then you have a much wider pool of people available to you. In your inner circle.
We look at it like
base.
major label is just putting on whatever you're doing on steroids, just putting it to the next level. And so, but there's plenty of major label hollow artists, that are like so big, but they can't even really like pull at venues. They don't really sell that much even, but they have this image that's so big, but they haven't built it from the ground up.
Right.
So.
I think building it from the ground up, you really create a relationship with your fans. Like, I remember, literally like having a following of like, a couple people, and my stuff sucked, you know what I mean? Like straight up. But there's people that have literally been following my stuff since it was like awful and horrible, and they've watched it get to here, and that's why it's exciting for them to like they'll hop in a car with somebody, and the CD that comes on is mine, and they're like, wait, like this kid? Like I've been following his stuff since he was,
Yeah.
And so when you create a following like that really like attaches onto you, and you create a relationship through Facebook and Twitter, and communicating with the fans, then when they see that major label thing take off, it's like they get excited too.
They're pulling for you.
Yeah, like I helped to make this happen. Like I've been pulling for this kid.
Well, because obviously it's imperative at that point that you don't alienate those people. You don't act inconsistent with the ways that you've acted so far. You just scale it up. You want to make it bigger and do it. And do the same kinds of things on a bigger scale. Right?
Yeah, it's really just your mindset with it too. Because we talked like on tour, and he'd say, I'm not really even G-Eazy. It's like a whole movement. And he's just like one like representation of it. His music represents it. His videos represent it. Right. But like, there's a lot of like really cool people that helped out a lot, and they're a part of it as much as anything. Right.
And you guys interact. When I said, do you interact? I know you guys push stuff out, but do you converse with your audience? Do you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys have interactions in public, right? I mean, the idea behind a lot of the power of social media is that you can be a friend to thousands and thousands of people, right?
Right.
And you can take these meaningful interactions and amplify them through the use of tech, right? And that's what you're hoping to do. So can you guys talk about some examples where you've done that?
I mean,
ways that you do that, I should say.
Yeah, when when people like tweet at me or whatever, or send me Facebook messages, I have to admit, I'm terrible at writing back in anything, like not even related to the music stuff. Even like when friends call me, like anybody that knows me can testify. Like I'm really bad at texting back and answering phone calls, but I just don't like talking. But I really try to make a point of it, like to talk back to fans and stuff like that, because it's like, it's silly if you stop and think about it. Like just you like talking back to them like means so much in their eyes, like, and that's really humbling. And that's something that they go tell their friends, and they're like, yeah, like he's a cool, like I know the guy, you know what I mean? Like I talked to him online, like so talking back to people is important.
Ultimately, it's about two really simple themes that I talk about a lot, which is decency and grace, right?
Grace,
So when you're decent, somebody writes to you, somebody takes time and makes an effort to like spend their time and attention on your music, to listen in the first place is this act of giving, right? They're being generous to you just by listening.
Right.
And then they may take the time to send you a thought, a comment, usually a positive one on your work. That's generosity many times over. Yeah. And the least you can do at that point to be decent and to be graceful is to acknowledge that note and to interact with those people. And the fact that you can do that in public now, like on your when you update your status, somebody comments on your status, you can comment back. You're doing this in public. You're doing this in front of people. They can see how you react. They can build a relationship with you. It's important that you make us like you before you can sell us anything, right?
Yeah.
You would never. I mean, talk about that a little bit. Talk about how you make somebody like you before you promote to them.
They have to care about you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And creating that is like, I don't know, I mean.
Well, what are your Matt? I mean, talk about your best your best practices. What are the things you guys believe in that you do to make sure that ultimately people will give a damn about you guys enough to support you?
I think just not expecting them, just making the music free so they can download it if they want, give it a shot. Because if people are like strictly on iTunes and stuff, they're kind of telling you it's like to even sample my music you have to pay.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's kind of going too far almost. You know what I mean? If you consider it in like a dating sense.
Right.
And so we just try to make it available for free. Or if someone comes to a cheap show, like obviously we don't try to charge a lot for tickets even in like big cities,
Right.
So that way people can come and you just give them a chance, and that's what I just feel like it's about just giving them a chance. And if your product's good enough, then they'll respond.
Right. So that's getting the music out. Now you guys have developed a pretty decent draw in certain places, right? I mean, where are your big markets besides New Orleans? You have a strong market here. You guys have a pretty strong draw here, right? Anywhere else?
The Bay Area.
In the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So how did you develop those followings? I mean, let's look at those two as micro markets.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do in those two situations, in those two localities, to build a following, just in practical terms?
Well, New Orleans, when I got down here, I hadn't done any shows, literally. Like, I had never performed before. But when I got my first show, my freshman year, we took the time and we really rehearsed. And, we made sure that it was like, if we were going to perform, they gave us like, we were like the opener of the openers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was like a 7-minute time slot or whatever. But we wanted to take that opportunity and, if people came and if they were there that early to see us, to walk home and say, well, the show was cool, but, that like goofy white kid that went on first was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
You can go up and perform, and it's like, if nobody talks about you at the end of the day, they came to see the headliner, they didn't come to see you.
Right.
Like, why are you doing it? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not moving anywhere. So taking each show seriously, carefully planning out the promotion, so you really like, don't expect the show just to draw people on its own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just to say, oh, I have so and so on the bill.
What do you do to
this
promote?
This is gonna be packed. We get out there like with flyers. Like, I'll hit up all the college campuses around, and you get out there and you talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't just hand out a flyer. I try not to anyway.
Yeah.
It's like I stop and talk to somebody and I say, you should come out to this. Talk to them about it.
Right.
Start a conversation.
Right.
You just want to build a connection with people so they have an incentive to want to come. And then when you bring them there, make sure that they go home, surprised and happy that it was actually a good show.
Do you find that when you take the time to work, to work hard and actually pay attention to one person at a time, do you find that in turn makes it so that those people work harder to bring people with them, or that they go then tell the story to other people?
They have an incentive and they have something to talk about. You know what I mean? It's not just like I randomly met this guy and he just like tossed a flyer at me and walked away. It's like, oh, that's that guy. Like, it was cool. But anyway, that's New Orleans. We've really built it up over live shows. But the Bay Area.
Do you collect email addresses at the gigs?
Yeah, definitely.
Clipboard, or what do you do?
Yeah,
and
just
also
at the merch table.
Right.
After gigs, I usually try and go over to the merch table.
Yeah.
And talk to people and meet people and.
Good.
That's important too. One thing that we try to work on is while you're performing, constantly mentioning your name before and after every song, mentioning the merch table before and after every song, any online things that you're really trying to get people to do. You're like, yo, find me on Twitter, and that just kind of subconsciously, people are like, oh, I might tweet this.
Right.
Or just making people aware.
Just not being ashamed to ask. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to. That's an issue of grace as well. I mean, you can't just be there desperately asking people, buy this, support me, help me. No, you have to be graceful. You have to be.
Right.
I mean, you have to do your part, and then in turn, you can ask them to do their part. Right. I mean, you find that that's obviously best practice, right?
But so New Orleans, we've just really built it up through the live show, I think.
Right.
But in the Bay Area, it's kind of ironic because I grew up there, but I hadn't done any shows. It was just literally like making mixtapes in my bedroom, burning CDs, you know, getting covers printed up at the copy shop, you know, taking my whole paycheck from my job, you know, and pushing these CDs or whatever. And the music was garbage back then, you know what I mean? And here I am, like I've been away for, you know, 2.5 years, and it's pretty much been word of mouth and online promotion that's been able to, like, so when I go home now, I can still sell out a show because it's like, you know, I still promote online really tough, and I have a lot of friends that promote it and, you know, talk to, you know, and it's kind of like a connection. Like kids at, you know, my high school were like, you know, like he went here, and I think because of the distance, it kind of makes it look a little different in their eyes, like, you know.
All right, so you're also making other opportunities. You're not keeping the blinders on and looking just at doing club gigs, right? You've been opening for Lil Wayne recently. Yeah. Sorry, not Lil Wayne, but Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne. So you've been opening for Lil Wayne, right? So how did that come to be? What happens to allow you that, you know, to kind of stumble into that opportunity, or what was the story behind it?
I won a contest. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, this business, I'm telling you, I mean, hip hop especially, but the music industry in general operates on relationships. Like, it's all you know. I'm blessed and fortunate enough that I have a really cool friend of mine. He's actually my roommate, and he started working with Lil Wayne a while ago, and he got offered a job as an assistant tour manager, and he took it. He's been touring with Wayne for the last while, and he's just used it to build relationships with everybody on the tour, and he took my music and he brought it to Tez, who's Wayne's manager, and he says, you know, there's this kid that I really want you to actually seriously sit down and take the time to listen to. Right. You know.
Yeah, he doesn't ask that favor every day.
No, right? No, that's a big favor.
Been working for him for a long time. He asked the favor once.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you said, you build a relationship though after a long period of time, expose them to the music, give them a chance, get feedback, and like after a while, still not be afraid to ask. Yeah. You know, so it's like the same process.
Right.
So he gave the music to Tez, and Tez liked it, and he said, you know, well, let's bring this kid on the tour. Let him open up, and you know, it was an exciting experience and all that, but it's still like, that's like, you know, barely scratching the surface, you know, like barely getting my foot in the door, and ideally.
Well, it's humbling too, right? I mean, you're in front of an audience who you don't know if they're going to be open to. Yeah. You're not the guy they came in to see.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got to work. You got to sing for your supper.
It's a Lil Wayne show, and it's in an arena. You know, there's thousands of people there that, you know, they came to see Wayne. Yeah. You know, they don't care about anybody else. And here's this, you know, this tall white kid coming out that they've never heard about, you know, coming on stage. But it's once again, it's like you have to go out there and you have to give a solid show, and you have to win over the crowd. You know. And
you just got to walk your walk at that point, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know whether, you know, people are going to be open to you, whether they're going to be finding their seats when you're on, right? You just have to do your show.
And you have to make the best of it. I mean,
but at the same time, like, maximize it. Before the show happened, we did Facebook ads just in those cities, and sent out emails to just some of the real close people, Facebook messages. Yeah. If you know someone in a city near there, just say, hey, can you invite all your friends? And obviously, it's, you know, maybe none of those people will come, but it just kind of is impressions. And there's also like an online radio thing, Django, where you can kind of target states. And so we just basically just assume that nothing's going to happen and just do everything you can. Yeah. And then whenever something does, and just maximize.
Right. That's great. And did you guys do any online, offline stuff during the tour? You know, since you had kind of this big event that you could do, did you guys interact or run any special things that you did? You know, kind of using Twitter. Did you use it as an excuse to gather people, or to do something?
The bus was like super cool, but they had internet on the bus, so I would literally be on my laptop like blogging the whole time, like tweeting the whole time. And I mean, you know, this stuff's exciting for me. Like, it's all really cool. And you know, people that follow me on Twitter got excited. They're like, you know, it's another one of those things. It's like I saw this kid go from like, you know, selling like a busted ass CD out of his backpack, you know, to like, wow, like he's actually, you know, making progress. And so you definitely, like, you know, I was tweeting, I was on Facebook, I was posting pictures, posting videos.
Great. So you were bringing them along, right? So you were being a human being. You were, you know, you've been a human being all along.
Right. I mean, in all reality, just to be blunt and honest, I mean, the dates we did weren't in our target markets. You know what I mean? And it's thousands of people, but it's like, you know, like we didn't do a Bay Area show where it would have been huge. You know,
Yep.
we didn't do the New Orleans show where it would have been huge.
Right.
So in all reality, it's not like we're reaching my target fan base.
Right.
You know, the only way to reach my target fan base and let them even know about the show is online.
Yeah.
You know, and sharing it with them, like streaming it, posting pictures. and stuff.
Ultimately, you're trying to do what you would be doing with the help of a major, which is just getting the message to a broader audience, right?
Yeah.
Getting your name in front of a lot more people.
And it's also just branding. So it's as important for people online in other states
Right.
who can't have no possibility of going to the show,
Right.
just to see it being streamed or recorded in any way,
Well,
or
and-
just seeing the tweets and kind of feeling a part of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Bringing people along on that experience. That's great. Well, I think that's. I mean, you guys. Do you mind taking some questions if there are any questions? You guys want to do that? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or address?
Just to like this has been a fun ride, and it's all exciting, but at the same time, like we have so far to go.
Yeah.
You know, like this is just the beginning, and I've been here at this program 2.5 years now, and when I was a freshman, I told myself this is where I'd want to be by now. You know?
Right.
But it's just the beginning. It's like climbing up a set of stairs. Like you don't want to get too excited that you've made it to the third step.
Right.
You know, when there's a whole bunch of steps left to go. It's just
Well, you guys were in my marketing class last semester, right? And we talk a lot about the idea of setting targets, setting goals, creating action programs, and then measuring the success of those programs, right? Deciding how far along you got in those goals. You continue to set goals. I mean, you do that. You measure progress. You decide, whether you're behind or ahead, and what you can do to change things. You speak to that at all?
Also, just re-optimizing past things in addition to like trying to put in either new metrics or just keep evaluating old ones.
Right.
But in terms of past things, like going over inventory and trying to make sure all of our merch, because that's one thing we've been kind of behind on is like the more info you can get, the better. So like if we can know how many shirts we sold at what shows in what areas, and then like online to match that to what's being sold on the merch sites.
Great.
So it's just fine tuning what you've already done, and then also I just feel like I'm really detail oriented, as a lot of people joke about even.
Right.
And like we make a blog list, and we'll like try to rate all the blogs on there according to how much that we think they'll that blog has synergy with G or something,
Right.
as opposed to just emailing a country blog or something.
Right.
And so I think it's all about data and always having as much information. And if you're at a show and the audience doesn't fill in their zip codes, like sit there and fill in the zip codes or the cities. That way you at least have a general idea.
Close. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just think it's all about data.
Staying detail-oriented, collecting a lot of data, reading the data, analyzing. That's
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have this guy because I'm just like
Yeah. Well, that's what's great. I think that's really important. You guys found each other. That we talk about that idea that if you're an artist, then find somebody in the program who might be able to help. If you want to be in the if you want to work in support of artists, adopt an artist today. I mean,
seriously.
use this program to like be
1-800 adopt an artist. Do it. Call me out.
I mean, this program. If you have anything here, it's resources and access to people who know something about the business. You should be using
and
this.
Seriously, like you guys are here for 4 years. Like the clock's ticking. Like you know what I mean. Like make it happen. Just you know what I mean. Go out and just do stuff and just try and see what works, man. If you're an artist, like put music out, but find somebody, because there's plenty of students here that don't do music. You know what I mean, and they have intentions of being a manager, like a booking agent or whatever.
Yep.
And like the only way you learn is hands-on experience.
Right.
And just like link up and just.
Yeah, it's balancing like always trying to plan and always have reasonings to do things, and then on the other side just doing it.
Right.
And like getting a fire lit under your ass and just getting things done.
Right.
And make sure when you pick your artist that it's going to be someone you don't mind picking 4 a.m. phone calls for,
Right.
and waking up to like call London to try to do some kind of sample thing or
Yep.
any kind of like just
deal with it,
counting
yeah.
things over and over again.
Yeah.
Staying up when your bus breaks down outside of St. Louis while everyone else is sleeping. Make sure AAA comes,
Right.
or just make sure it's someone you care that much about, because
Right.
it's really frustrating to see other managers who are just like, I'm working with all these guys. I got them on contract the first day I saw them.
Yeah.
Like didn't build a relationship. Didn't try to help the artist really. They're just looking at it from their perspective.
Scariest thing I ever heard a manager say, fairly recently. I asked him if he liked the music that this new artist he signed did.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I only have to listen until 6 o'clock. I don't have to listen after 6." And I thought, "Oh man, that's just the saddest thing I ever heard."
Dude, I was at a showcase with my lawyer for a band that he represents, and it was like some weird like country kind of thing. I mean, I hated it. Like, I walked out and he was like, "What'd you think?" I was like, "I mean, it's not my thing."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I hated it too." And I'm like, "But you, like, that's your band, you know what I mean?" He was like, "So?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, like, I hope you like my shit." And he was just like, and then I don't know if he was lying or not, but he was like, "No, like, I genuinely do. Like, I actually like believe in your stuff, and I really like it." But that's just really important for any relationship, because you're gonna have to stick your neck out, and you're gonna have to really like work hard for that artist, and you have to believe in them. Like, it has to be more than just like, oh, I see this as dollar signs. I see that this is gonna, you know what I mean? You have to passionately like really care about the music, because you have to like defend them when like no one else will, when nobody cares about them, when nobody knows who they are yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
we
weird
talk
how
all
like
the time.
once people care about you, it's like, everybody wants you, but like when you're a new artist, like nobody cares. Like,
When you make meaning, you can do it forever. You have all the energy in the world. When you're doing something that's meaningless, everything's a chore. So, we talk about Guy Kawasaki always saying, make meaning and do something, right? Just get involved with something you feel is meaningful. Do something. Does anybody have any questions for Gerald or Matt? I'm going to bring up the lights. I feel like Carol Burnett here. One person might have gotten that reference. Sorry. Anybody? Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, that'd be great if you could.
Hey. I remember last year when you were at Forum, you said that you wanted a label's help, like financially, like you were looking for a major label to help you financially. Mm-hmm. Has that changed? Like, what exactly are you looking for in a major label? Like, what do you want to get out of it?
Well, a major label provides obviously financial help. It's like, it's boom. They have you know what I mean? They give you a budget to work with, and that's something that obviously we don't have. Like, our budget is what we save up from shows. Our budget is iTunes money, and our budget is his credit card. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, everything is out of pocket. And it takes money to make money.
What would you pay for that you can't pay for now?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't need a big, expensive recording budget, because I like recording in my room. I like producing my own stuff. I don't want Polo or Timbo to do my record. I want to do it. So, I mean,
that's the mindset of those two different worlds we're talking about too, because we're also right now in an indie mindset. So we're like, we really don't need to be wasting money on like mass marketing kind of things like that. We want to be more niche oriented. But then when you do get that major label thing, we're still going to be doing all the stuff we're doing in terms of the audience and like sustainability and stuff, emails. But then with that, they can then throw you on, like, instead of the last 3 dates of a tour through a favor, through a friend, it's all of a sudden, boom, you're on the entire
whole
tour.
Black Eyed Peas World Tour this summer.
Yeah,
But so it's, I don't know. Like, what I'm saying is, I don't need money in terms of like a recording budget. I need money in terms of promoting and marketing and stuff like that. Like, to build the brand and to get the name out there and stuff like that. And that's just stuff that we can't, do as effectively on our own. So.
Do you accept that answer? Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if they build the brand, if they spend a fortune marketing and promoting me, and they build a brand so that I can build a draw, nationwide, and I can, the label can drop me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go do tours on my own after that can only be bigger than the tours we're doing now. And we can continue to do that forever. Once
that idea of casting a wider net, right? Yeah. You want to reach more people. Yeah. So you want the label as an amplifier, as a loudspeaker, right?
And just a relationship maker, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Any artist that's on there, they're going to be trying to push their producers to work with you anyway, so their producer can get points and on the album, and then just any other kind of, I mean, how like the whole Live Nation thing, it's just an infrastructure that they can just push you into.
So how does a label factor into your idea of business development then? How would an outside, a major label factor into that?
It would add a lot of steroids to what we're currently doing.
I see. Right.
It wouldn't, like, all right, I want to do a big mixtape. I want to get a big established DJ to host my mixtape and promote it and put it out online for free. Right. I can put out a mixtape on my own, and I can get my following to download it. But for $1,500, I can get Mick Boogie to do it. You know what I mean? If I have a label, then it's all of a sudden not a $1,500 chore for Mick Boogie to do and put out, but it's his priority because somebody really big at the label asked him as a favor, and it's like it's a completely different thing.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Yes.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like 50-50. You need both sides, you know what I mean? I kind of like switch modes or whatever, I guess, like from the creative person to.
So 150% marketing, 50% music.
Right.
Because he tries to go in like production mode and just make beats constantly, make music, and then also after a while you're like, all right, well, let's kind of go into marketing mode and start focusing on
Like
redoing the
releases.
MySpace designs, redoing this, coming up with new.
Do you agree with the idea that every conversation you have is marketing? That every
Yeah.
every
Hell
every
yeah.
every
This is it
message
right
written
here,
is
man.
marketing? Right.
Everything's on record too.
Right. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a question. Yes.
My question is, what do you think took you to the next step from like writing your own songs in your room, putting out your tapes, to like that next step to get you where you are now?
I don't think it was like one step or anything like that. It's just been a gradual process. It's like from the outside looking in, it's like seeing somebody with short hair and then seeing them a year later and all of a sudden their hair's long and they're like, oh shit, that happened like that. But to me, it's just been a long, long process of like, moving up. I mean, maybe it's like I don't know. There was this one mixtape I put out that kind of like was a tipping point.
Well,
Yeah.
Like, if you guys wouldn't have found each other, do you think you'd be as successful?
Yeah, I'd probably be like 10 times richer by now. No, it's like we work well together. It's like kind of like yin and yang kind of thing. You need the business and the music, I guess.
I mean, I was speaking the other day about the fact that New Orleans is a pretty good place to start a music enterprise when you're an artist, because the clubs, the gigs, everything's so open. People invite you down to play a show. Your classmates, people in the scene invite you down to play shows all the time. You can really bootstrap yourself into existence if you're an artist.
They give you a shot. You can get a gig here, like Cafe P is really cool about that.
Right.
Or, a couple other places. They'll give you that chance. And like Throwback too has been really cool working with us. With
So
that.
how much
you
credit?
get a
How much
shot,
credit do you give that? I mean, how much credit do you give this
absolutely.
environment?
Well,
Yeah.
New Orleans has 3 years of like eligibility than almost not any other state or city, because 18, 19, or I guess 4 years even, because in all the other places you have to be 21 and up to be in a place where you can have the bar as well.
Right.
So if you look at it like that, when you go into any other state, you cut out a revenue source no matter what.
Right.
If it's a no drinking show, then that cuts out the bar. If it's 18 and up or 21 and up, so that's why New Orleans is really cool like that.
Right.
And it helps, but also handicaps you, because then we have to start figuring out new things for different areas. Do an all ages show and then a 21 and up after party thing, or whereas New Orleans it's all the same thing. You can just everyone can
Right.
drink and go.
Right.
Yeah.
But the openness of the scene did serve you guys.
Dude, absolutely.
Right.
Like without that first shot, you know what I mean, and without being able to get on as many shows as I have, like,
Right.
I don't know what to do.
Right. Because it occurred to me when Mary asked that question that maybe that's a big part of it. The fact that you existed in this ecosystem. You existed in this world that's pretty open and pretty receptive
New York,
to helping.
Huge.
Yeah, I got friends in Boston. They go to Berkeley.
Yeah.
And we went up there recently for a show, and it was just like, I mean, here's Berkeley. You know what I mean? Like everybody's dope at Berkeley, but like nobody can get a gig, and they're all like 21 and up clubs, and it's like a completely different market. Now here's New Orleans.
Expensive covers too.
Right.
Here's New Orleans. Like you guys go to Loyola. Like you guys are all dope musicians. Like you can get a gig. I mean, you can bring your friends out, and you can build a following up. Like it's easy to get to Cafe P Uptown. You know what I mean? There's venues where you can start that kind of stuff and get the ball rolling.
Right. So do it. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah. It's just like I'll bring him a product. Like I'll go into the studio, I'll create my album, and I'll bring it to him, and I'll be like, all right, so what are we doing with it? You know what I mean? We'll bounce ideas off of each other.
Right.
If I say I wanted to do a tour, you know what I mean? He'll be like, all right, well, we got to go here. This is how we do it. This is probably the most affordable way to travel. You know what I mean? Here's who we're gonna stay with. If we're gonna do an album, this is how we're gonna promote it. Yada yada. So
Do you opt out of that stuff? No, it's all discussion, and you're involved in those thoughts.
No, we talk about this stuff.
What about in the music, Maddie? Do you help? Do you
he'll
voice
send
comments
me-
about music?
He'll send me drafts, and I'll just kind of like say things here and there, with both of us having the understanding that maybe 20% of it he might change, and the rest is just like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you send emails out to everybody, and it's just like everyone will say like that's the worst song on the CD, and it's
Yeah.
each different one.
Yeah.
And that's the best song on the CD, each different one.
Yeah.
So it's just like you take everything with a grain of salt.
Becomes a
Right.
factor.
And
Yeah.
but at the same time, like when I started working with him 2 years ago, he had like over 300 hits a day on his MySpace. He was putting out mixtapes, and like it wasn't like I was just starting from scratch. There was like a basis there, and to the point where we put up like the Bandcamp, emails just start coming, you know, and like.
Right.
So it's not like you can't. That's why I think it's important for artists to just do stuff on their own and start understanding the difference. Because some stuff is like he definitely co-manages himself, you know, and
Right.
like
Which is absolutely necessary.
designs pages, and like if he knows how to do some kind of web thing, he'll like just kind of pick up the slack on that. Or if he's like, I can't figure out how to, you know, get the domain, do, you know, this
Right,
or that. So
right.
you just teach yourself whatever you don't know.
Yeah, and no, you need to be an empowered artist. I mean, you know, what if you were run over by a truck? That would be terrible.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what to do. All right. Anybody else? Okay.
What else? You guys get to
I
go
think
early.
that's
Cool
it.
beans.
Thank you very much, you guys. Thanks,
Bacteria.
G-Eazy and Matty B.